Hello everybody and welcome to Stitchy's World. My name is Caitlin and welcome to my Knitting and Crochet Podcast. Today we're going to talk about things that I've been working on, things I'm excited about, and just some more fun yarn related things. So if that sounds like fun to you, grab yourself something to drink and something yummy to eat, maybe. And maybe something to work on if you want to, or just sit back and relax. Or maybe the sound of my voice puts you to sleep and you're having trouble sleeping, so just close your eyes and you can listen to me ramble on. So anyway, I'm gonna grab a tea, and I made some little cupcakes today. I'm having an apple muffin, I guess. It's a muffin with some cream cheese icing. And the tea is way too hot. Whew! Okay, so please excuse my absence for the last month or so. I've been very busy going through some transitions at work and just not really having the energy to sit down and talk about knitting, which is ridiculous because that's the thing I always want to do. I'm hopeful that now I will have the time and energy to do more of this podcasting, but I'm not going to make any promises because I don't want to make you an empty promise. Anyway, we're here, so let's get right into it. I want to show you some things I finished. So the first thing I'm going to show you is my Tomta's Treasures shawl. Dun da da dum! Ooh! That's the right side of it. This I finished up, I think I finished it last week. I love this shawl. It is so soft. Knitting with it was a dream. So let me tell you a little bit about it. It's by the Naughty Gnome. I bought it from a kit from You Knit Sew, and it's 80% merino wool, 10% cashmere goat, and nylon. So I think it's the cashmere, even though it's only 10%, that really gives it that just a very, very slight halo. And it's just so soft. I really love it, and the colors really work well with denims. So works well with jeans anytime I'm wearing jeans. But I'm so glad I blocked it too. I think it softened up even more, and I'm excited to get a lot of use out of this. Let's move on to the next thing, shall we? I'm gonna keep wearing it though. So the next thing that I finished, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, was Robin the Unicorn. So this is Robin. She is from the Peek-a-Pow Animal Friends, the original book of Peek-a-Pow. This originally was supposed to be in yellow and blue, I believe, but I wanted to make it pink and purple because those are my niece's favorite colors, and this might end up under the tree for her this year. Robin was supposed to have a tattoo of an anchor on her chest, but I wasn't confident enough that I could actually do that without messing up, so I'm gonna maybe not give her a tattoo. But I think she's really cute. She came out pretty good. I think the one thing I would have changed, if anything, was it was a yarn gauge thing. My white yarn that I was working with was just a little bit of a thinner yarn, so I'm not thrilled with I feel like I can see the holes, and I try not to be able to see the holes on any of my crocheted amigurumi. The other thing that came out kind of funny was her tail. This was supposed to be curled, and if anyone has any tips on how you're supposed to do this, it just said stuff it lightly down to the tip and then sew it. So I sewed the tail to itself, but I didn't quite get that curl that it was supposed to be getting. There's no wire in it or anything. That would probably be another option. Although now that I'm kind of working it, I feel like it might just need to remember where it needs to go. I'm not sure that the tail really is her finest feature, but anyway, this is Robin. I love the construction of all the amigurumi in the Peek-a-Pow book. This one started from the snout, and then the back you start with a strip, you chain and then go around your chain, connect around all four sides, and then it kind of comes down and does some belly flapping. Hopefully this will be a Christmas present, I think. For the next finished object, I'm gonna take off my Tomta Treasures because I finished another shawl. And you might be asking yourself, what? You were working on another shawl? And the answer is, Yes, I haven't seen you in a while. I finished a whole other shawl. So this is the Barbie Chic shawl by Chic and Regal Knits. Dun da da da. Upside down, I think. Here it goes this way. Ooh la la. So I did block this 2 nights ago, and it really bloomed quite nicely. I like this one. It's kind of like got a different shape to it, where this comes up a little bit, like this is supposed to go up on your neck, I think. And then this kind of, I think it's meant to sit on your shoulders, which I might do, but to be honest, most of my shawls, I just wear them like scarves. I wrap them around. Maybe sometimes I'll do like over the shoulder kind of thing. I could do that with this shawl. Oh, for sure I could do that. Let me tell you a little bit about it. It's from the Cozy Colorworks shawl kit that I picked up at the New Jersey Sheep and Fiber Festival. It's 100% merino superwash. And I've only recently learned a little bit about the superwash debate, and I don't really have strong opinions, though I will say when I started working on this shawl, I was like, this isn't that soft. And it's merino wool, so I really was expecting it to be luscious. I thought it would have been softer as I was working with it. And then one of my coworkers who's a knitter was like wondering if maybe the certain dyes have different effects on the yarn, like making them feel softer or less soft. I don't know, I couldn't really tell a difference between the different colors. I will say after I blocked it, it feels a bit softer, but I think in my mind I was comparing it to the Tomta Treasures shawl, and that one it's got cashmere goat in it. So I think that might be what sets it apart. Or maybe it's the superwash, I don't know. But I don't need this to protect me from sub-zero, well, hopefully not sub-zero temperatures, so I do really like it. I love the colors. There were a bunch of different colorways available when I was choosing mine, and I had a heck of a time because I was really drawn to the hot pink. But this is called Art Class Cleanup, and the colors in it are key lime, melted crayons, navy, and spring is in the air. And I didn't know the color names until I was just preparing for this episode, and I really love the name of the melted crayons because to me that's just what that looks like. The stitches in this shawl were a little bit different than ones I've done before. There was this one, I'll show you here. These babies, these white ones, they were kind of fun to do, but when I got to that section, I realized I could not use my metal tips. They were too blunt. I was using Addy Turbos on a size 5 or 6. I don't remember. But you do have to knit 3 together through the back loop, which is why you get these cool little bumps. And I think it has a really cool effect. I definitely liked that stitch. I didn't like doing it. It was a pain in the neck, but it really came out cute. Yeah, so I really like this. I'm glad that I got it. It's hopefully gonna get a lot of use, and I can do the shoulders thing, or I could do the thing, which is probably what I'll do more often when I wear my coat, tuck it into my coat, and just let it do what it wants to do. So this next thing that I'm going to show you, it's kind of me cheating because it's a finished object, but it's not actually my finished object. So allow me to present my mom's This is the Dun, 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 dun. I don't know how this is coming across on the screen. The colors are absolutely gorgeous. It's one yarn that does this. It's the I'm looking at my notes, ITO Sensei, 60% goat mohair, 40% silk in the color purple. And what it really looks like though is like almost like a navy blue with a purple highlight strand through it. But I think she only held one, it was just one strand. It wasn't like you held 2 together. So this, it's in the color prune. I have a picture of me wearing it that'll be better than what I'm doing here. This is lace weight. It's 262 yards in a skein, and it's 20 grams, so it weighs like nothing. It is applied yarn. I mean, plied, not applied. And it has a really nice halo, which I don't know if you can see. I can see because of the light. It's a little bit wide in the shoulder. That is the only issue with fit for me, and I could cinch it up a little bit, but to be honest, it didn't really go anywhere. I think because it's got the grip of the mohair, it kind of just stayed put. I didn't have to keep chasing it off of my shoulder, back onto my shoulders. So Mom said the only thing she did differently than the pattern was she Kitchenered the shoulders instead of seaming. So it's a very neat shoulder. You don't even see anything. And she said she used 1.5 skeins of this yarn to create this wreath. I love it. It's so lofty and fun, and I'm just loving mohair right now. So I use this as a layering piece. Hopefully I'll be able to continue to wear it into the winter because you never know what temperature the office is gonna be. Thank you, Mom. I'm sorry you didn't like it for yourself, but I'm certainly glad I ended up with it. I'm gonna show you one thing that I showed you last time, but I actually blocked it now, and I think it's a little bit nicer to look at. This is my finished Elton by Joji Locatelli. And it really, it grew a little bit in length, which is good. That's what I wanted, and that's the way I kind of told it to grow with the steamer. And the sleeves are about a 3/4 length sleeve. I won't talk too much about this. I just want to say I'm wearing it a lot and I absolutely love it. So if you're on the fence and you're looking for a nice kind of classic stripey looking sweater that you can showcase some fun yarns, I highly recommend this. This is the Elton Pullover. But wait, there's more. Now I'm going to show you a few things I'm working on. But first I'm going to try to take a sip of my tea. Oh, it's so good. Oh, so good. I can't even get back to my podcast. I started a sweater. It's called the Sammensat 5, and it's by elsebeth Judith, the Sammensat 5. Now the Sammensat sweaters, if you go to elsebeth Judith's page on Ravelry, there's a whole family of these Sammensat sweaters. And Sammensat, I believe, is a German word-ish that means together, sitting together, like sitting together properly in its place, maybe. Maybe that's what it means. I don't know. I'll show you. So this sweater I am knitting in Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino and Terracotta Rose, held with Knitting for Olive Soft Silk Mohair and Plum Rose. Ooh. Every time I take it out of the bag, I remember how much I love it. So this is the Sammensat 5. I originally tried on the Sammensat 7 when I was visiting the Perfect Blend in Saugerties, New York, because Mary had made one and she suggested I try it on, and it felt so nice, and it goes really fast because you knit it on US 10 needles. So I was all set to get it, and to make that one. I was all set to do it, but the Sammensat 7 has a little bit more of like a traditional, what I thought of as more of like a traditional lace around the bottom of the sweater. And when I saw the Sammensat 5, it was just a little bit different. It's got this kind of more angular motif of these peaks and these like peaks, and then I don't know if you can even see where I'm pointing, and then lines. And I really liked that. This is a very easy to read pattern. I was a little bit worried because of what it first looked like to me was a lot of sections of instructions, and that frightened me. Now I will return to my original Sammensat discussion. What I was trying to say is the reason that this family of sweaters has this name is it has to do with the increases that you do for your raglan sleeves. And the way that elsebeth writes their increases is so that they lie more comfortably in the knitting. So instead of doing just uniform all the way, like, you know, on both sides, on the sleeve side and on the body side, there's kind of an alternating way of doing them. I won't give away the like family secret, not that I completely understand it anyway, but that is what the Sammensat is. So if you go on her Instagram, she has like a post where she shows the line of where the increases are. I don't know if I tried this on yet. Oh yes, it feels so nice. And this is, again, a 3/4 sleeve. I don't really love full length sleeves anyway, so I'd be happy if all my sweaters had a 3/4 sleeve. But I can't really tell because I can't see it, but I think it fits well. Obviously I'm gonna go a little further on this side. This might be my last fancy sweater in a while because I have purchased so much yarn. My yarn budget has run dry, so I'm going to be working with what I have for a while, but that's not going to be boring. It's going to be wonderful. You're going to see. I have lots of fun things planned. Since I wrote my notes for this project, there have been developments. I've actually cast on for another project and have quite a bit of progress. I started it yesterday and I'm already done with half of it, so I'm going to show you now. I just started the Forget Not mitts. This is something I picked up at the Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool Festival. A kit for these mitts. Blah! It's missing. This is the first one, unblocked. I just finished it today. As you can see, there's probably something that stands out to you right away, which stands out to me as well. I'm not crazy about the way there's this flare up at the top. It's said to cast off with moderate tension. But it turns out, like, I don't know what moderate tension is. I just did a regular cast off and I got this huge flare. So I guess I don't need any stretch in that section. So I think what I'm gonna do is try my second one. If anyone has any suggestions of a moderately tensioned cast off, bind off, I would like to know it, so please do share. So these are the Forget Not mitts, and it's a kit that I picked up, like I said, from Rhinebeck Sheep and Wool, and it's by the Alpaca Yarn Company. Looks like this. The colorway is Millefiori, which I looked it up. Millefiori, if I'm saying it correctly, I'm not sure, is a glasswork technique which produces distinctive decorative patterns on glassware. In Italian, this means 1,000 flowers. Often they are glass beads, also called mosaic beads. So that's the colorway of this, and it's an argyle pattern. I really hope that blocking this will give some clarity to the pattern because I'm not convinced that the contrast is high enough to be able to see the little lines going through it. But I'm really eager to do the second one and to block them because I saw a new blocking technique that I want to try. But she said what you do is you block it. If it's wool, she said you need to let it soak for at least 20 to 30 minutes because that's how long it takes for the air to get out of your yarn, which I didn't know. I always go 10-15. So what you do is you turn it inside out, and after you've soaked it for 20 minutes and you squeeze it and roll it up in a towel and try to get most of the water out, and you let it sit for like an hour, then you just lay it down and you basically just whack it with a wooden spoon. And I guess, I'm not exactly sure what it does, but it looked, her project looked like absolutely stunning. So I don't know if that'll make my project look absolutely stunning, but I'm gonna try it. So I really liked working this color work pattern. The first time I got up to about here and I had to pull back again, and the reason was there was one part in the directions that left me a little confused, although I didn't know I was confused until I tried it on and then I realized my mistake. So you're working in two colors through the stripe, and then you go back down to just one color for this broken rib. Knit the first round, and then the next round you knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl all the way around, and then the next round you knit all the way around, and then you knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl all around. So that's the broken rib pattern. And no, No, I think we have a tension problem. I think it's okay. This, at first I thought there was just a dropped stitch. Oh, I'm gonna drop everything. I thought there was a dropped stitch where it's a little bit, you can see there's like a little gap here, but as I'm kind of moving things around, I don't think I actually dropped a stitch, but the tension got wonky. So I got to the broken ribs section and it said, carry the contrast color along the inside. So the way I interpreted that is I carried it around with me for all 4 rounds, like, you know, catching the loops, catching the floats every 4 or 5 stitches to make sure I didn't have any too big gaps. Well, then I tried it on and it was like, couldn't get it up over my hand in that spot. And then I realized, duh, why would it do that? And I think I was thinking that the reason it said that was for warmth, that you're supposed to carry it along the inside. But then I said to myself, no, I bet you they just meant carry it like up along the inside. Yeah, so I was a little bit frustrated there, as you could tell. It didn't really take that long to rework, so I hadn't gotten that much farther. So I pulled back, fixed the broken rib, and did it with just twisting the contrast color around when I got to the beginning of the round. And where I was just panicking, thinking I had a hole, is where I had twisted it and the tension got a little wonky there. So I am gonna have to pay attention when I'm blocking this to make sure that I don't have anything weird happening. And yeah, it just flares a little bit too much. It's not as noticeable actually if I go like this. But if I go like this, it looks like it almost wants to fold back on me, and I don't want it to do that. So I guess the other option is to do more decreasing. I don't think there was any decreasing up at the top. Maybe there should have been. I'm practicing. I haven't done a lot of color work projects before, and I think this is a good size project for me to get some practice, because I do want to do a color work yoke sweater soon. Not that I have one picked out or anything, but I'm just not super confident in it. I knit the Norwegian method. I learned it from the Arna and Carlos podcast, where you wrap it over your left finger, which I had been doing when I was doing continental, but instead of sticking your finger up and moving it down for the purls in front of the needle, you keep your finger basically just on the needle. And that way, for me, it has tightened up a lot of my loose tension issues, and now I can actually do a stockinette, a flat stockinette with my knits and purls, and they actually look like you can't tell which were the knits and which were the purls. So it's not the end of the world if it doesn't come out perfect, right? Moving on. That's my only other cast-on. I'm like looking around for more. I don't really have any more cast-ons. So now I'm going to tell you about some of the things I'm reading. So the first thing is a knitting thing. So if you're not interested in the reading section, at least stick around for the knitting thing and then you can leave. And I do thank you for coming and spending time watching this podcast. It's been so great to get to see actual people watching this. But I do really enjoy it. I'd love to hear more from you, so please drop a line and just let me know what you're working on, what you're excited about, even what you're reading. I'd love to hear it. The long-awaited Knitting Peter Rabbit. This book has been on my Amazon pre-order forever, and it finally came, and I sat down and I devoured it. And when I say devoured it, I mean I read every single page of it. I think these are just the cutest knits. Now, I've done quite a few animal friends, but these are so true to the illustrations of Beatrix Potter that it's uncanny. And there's a bunch of rabbits, but then, oh my gosh, Benjamin Bunny. There's Benjamin Bunny. They all have little outfits, and there's templates in the back to show you how to make the outfits. The instructions are really extensive. Flopsy Bunny. Oh, Mrs. Tiggy Winkle. has a little excerpt of the story too. A little girl called Lucy discovers a hidden home high in the hills. She knocks on the door and meets Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, who does all the washing and ironing for the neighboring animals. Lucy spends a lovely day helping her, but it's only later that she realizes Mrs. Tiggy Winkle is a hedgehog. Oh my gosh. And there's the illustration so you can see how close they are. So this book is by Claire Garland. She also goes by Dot Pebbles on Instagram. And just look at the expression on Tom Kitten's face. So cute. She talks about how, the process, how she was getting like boxes and boxes and boxes of yarn delivered to her house to find just the perfect color combinations and fiber combinations to make these. Oh, wait, I have to show you Tommy Brock. I can't even. So I'm really excited to knit from this book. It's got 12 patterns total, plus all of the clothing that you're gonna need for the patterns. And most of the yarn used is from drops, which I never used drops before because I've never seen it in a shop really, but I mean, not to say it doesn't exist in shops, but I just haven't. But, oh please, there it is. So drops, kid silk, this is for Peter. Drops, kid silk, off-white, drops, alpaca in camel, drops, kid silk in vanilla, drops, alpaca, shade off-white, blah, 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 blah. I won't give, all of them. But so I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to afford to knit these guys after all this. But I went on the website and the drops yarn is not expensive. It's actually pretty reasonable. So this is gonna be a treat that I'm gonna treat myself to after I get through some more of the yarn that I purchased in the last couple of months. Not that I'm feeling guilty because I get so much out of knitting, I really do. It helps me to just decompress after a long day. It's how I start every day. I start with a cup of coffee and listening to my book and knitting, and it's just something that I just love it so much. So I don't ever want to feel guilt associated with knitting. But I do need to watch my budget right now. So I've got so many things I'm excited to work on. And since this book came, now I can just flip through it every once in a while and feel that sense of excitement for when I get to work on one of these. So now I'm going to tell you some of the things that I'm reading that are not knitting related. The first one is Covenant of Water. I don't know if you all have read Cutting for Stone by Abraham Verghese, but this is another book by that same author, and it takes place between the years of 1900 to 1970, and it's an epic family saga taking place in Kerala, India, in South India. And I was listening to the audiobook, and the audiobook is read by the author, which sometimes is a good thing and sometimes is a bad thing. So I was like, okay, let's see how this goes. It's amazing. He's just the best storyteller. So I do recommend if you get a chance to get this one on audio, you're gonna really like it. Also, it's gonna free up your hands to be able to knit because the audiobook is 29 hours long. I read about, I think I got 40% through. That might be a stretch. I put it on hold again and I'll definitely finish it, and that's the nice thing, if you use the Libby app, just so you know, if you use the Libby app and you have to give up a loan and then you get it back, it remembers where you were. And like if you made any notes or anything or highlights or bookmarks, it remembers all of that. Oh, there was a quote that I found. This quote I just absolutely loved. This is from The Covenant of Water. But such memories are woven from gossamer threads. Time eats holes in the fabric, and these she must darn with myth and fable. How cool is that quote? I just love that. The next book is a complete left turn. I am one of those people who does get into reality TV every once in a while, and this is something I used to watch, but haven't in many years. Anyway, the book is Counting the Cost by Jill Duggar. It's a memoir, and she wrote it with her husband and somebody called Craig Borlase. This came out just a couple of months ago. It came out in September, and she talks about growing up in the IBLP fundamentalist family, the Duggars. If you ever caught their show on TLC, her parents have 19 children, and it's to do with the teachings of this Institute of Basic Life Principles, which is technically a Christian group, but it is fundamentalist, and there's a lot of control issues and cult behavior in the group. So this is Jill who's talking about her experience growing up the way that she did and coming to realize herself as an individual outside of just her role within the family. It's believe it or not, it's a really easy read. I don't mean that as in the content is easy, because I mean dealing with the psychological control that she was under is pretty intense, but the writing is easy is what I mean to say, and I'm really enjoying it. I haven't been binge reading, which is different for me. Usually I'm a binge reader. Right now I'm doing so much binge knitting that I'm kind of just here and there picking up a book. So anyway, I'd recommend this if you enjoy memoirs, or if you are at all interested in learning more about her experience growing up as a Duggar. This book, if you haven't already, check it out now from your library. It's called Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. It is so funny. It's a light-hearted mystery. So this woman, Vera Wong, she owns a tea house, which she named the Vera Wang Tea House. And you wonder, but her name was Vera Wong. Well, everyone knows Vera Wang, so she figured using a famous person's name would get her more notoriety and more people would come to her tea house. Anyway, one day she comes down from upstairs, she lives above her tea shop, and there's a man dead on the floor. And she kind of surveys the scene and then calls the police, but she sees that he has a flash drive in his hand. So she takes the flash drive because she figures it's in better hands if she has it than if the police have it. And then she outlines the body for the police so that they don't have to bother doing that. And they will see how meticulous she was and be very proud of her and thankful for her help. So Vera Wong, what the heck? Oh my gosh, I got icing all over me. I'm okay. So Vera Wong is told by the police that this is not a murder, this is just a death. There's no reason to suspect foul play. But of course that's not good enough for Vera, so she gathers a group of suspects and starts like peddling in their lives. And it's the humor is just so good. I'm listening to the audiobook and it's really well done. I really recommend it. It's a fun, lighthearted mystery, very humorous, kind of medium pace. It's not super it's not a thriller by any means, and it's not on the cozy side. It's somewhere in between. And the last book I'm reading is Library of Congress subject headings. And the reason I'm reading this is because I am starting a new job tomorrow, and I'm going to be the cataloger for my library system. So this is new for me. I'm moving from previously being a children's librarian into this position, and I'm super excited to use a different part of my brain and also just to learn some new aspects of librarianship. I'm also just now getting nervous, like, oh my gosh, what if I'm not as good as the last person was, and I don't know how to do all the things yet. But I have to remind myself that nobody knows all the answers on day one, and I'm just gonna pretend like I know what I'm doing. But I'll ask questions. I'll be fine. But also I'm nervous. Anyway, I feel like this is a clean slate because I'm starting a new job on Monday, and hopefully I have better hours now. I'll have a little more time in the evenings, and I won't work any nights, and I don't have to work weekends anymore. So all of that part of it will be good. But also just, I absolutely love working with kids and being a children's librarian, but my position had a lot more behind the scenes work. It wasn't just doing the kids program. So it exhausted me, and I don't want to feel exhausted every single day when I get home from work. Some people have been asking me, like, are you sure you're gonna enjoy this? This is very like dry, detail-oriented work. I'm like detail-oriented, like I knit and crochet thousands and thousands of stitches. Like if that's not detailed, I don't know what is. So it's not that I can't do it, but I think people are surprised that I'm wanting to do something so less creative than what I was doing. But my thought is, like, if you've got these buckets to fill, and creativity is one of them, I kind of want to fill it with like my knitting stuff right now. That's just where I'm at. I thank you for coming. I feel like we got way off track and talked a lot about other things besides knitting. There's a lot of things that I have planned, but I haven't talked about yet, because I'm hoping to do this a little more frequently and not to just like do 45 minutes talking about every single thing that I've ever thought about knitting. Hopefully I will see you again very soon. Thank you for stopping by, and happy knitting!